The text came through while I was elbow deep in transmission fluid. My phone buzzed on the workbench, and I wiped my hands on a rag that had given up being clean about 3 oil changes ago. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me swipe. The message was short, casual, like we were old friends. "Hey man, this is Derek from Vanessa's office. Any chance I could borrow your Audi tomorrow night? Taking her somewhere nice for her birthday. My car's in the shop. Would really appreciate it." I read it twice. Then a third time. My wife's birthday wasn't until August. It was March. The shop went quiet except for the pneumatic hiss from Bay 3. I set the phone down carefully, the way you set down a wrench when you realize you've been turning the wrong bolt. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. I knew Derek. Met him twice at company mixers where everyone drank wine that cost more than my weekly grocery run and talked about metrics I didn't understand. Tall guy, corporate smooth, the kind who shakes your hand while already looking past you for someone more important. Vanessa worked in marketing at a tech firm downtown, the kind of place with exposed brick and coffee bars on every floor. I ran an independent auto shop my father left me, the kind with oil stains on the concrete that won't come out no matter how much degreaser you use. We met different worlds, but we made it work. Or so I thought. I stared at that message until the screen went dark. Then I picked up the phone and typed back. "Sure thing. What time do you need it?" His response came fast. 7 tomorrow work? You're a lifesaver, brother. I'll take good care of it. I sent a thumbs up and nothing else. Around me, the shop hummed with the ordinary sounds of a Thursday afternoon. Metal on metal. Air compressor cycling. Rodriguez cursing at a stripped bolt in Spanish. Everything normal. Everything tilted. I walked to my office, a glorified closet with a desk buried under invoices and a calendar from a parts supplier that was still showing January. I sat in the chair that squeaks no matter how much WD-40 I give it and pulled up my phone's app store. Took me 5 minutes to find what I needed. A GPS tracker app that syncs with the car's built-in system. The Audi was newer, bought used but still had all the tech. I installed the app, linked it to my account, and watched the little icon appear on the map showing my car parked right outside in the lot. My hands were steady. That surprised me. I thought about calling Vanessa right then. Demanding answers. Screaming into the phone the way men do when they're scared and don't know what else to be. Instead, I locked the phone and went back to the transmission. Drained it. Flushed it. Filled it. The work had a rhythm that didn't ask questions. That night at home, Vanessa moved through the kitchen like she always did. Hair still perfect from the office, heels kicked off by the door, talking about a client presentation that went sideways because Jerry from sales didn't read the brief. I made spaghetti because it's one of 3 things I can cook without setting off the smoke alarm. She ate and laughed at the right moments, and I watched her across the table the way a mechanic watches an engine that's running fine but something in the sound isn't right. "You okay?" she asked, catching me staring. "Long day," I said. "Transmission rebuild took longer than I thought." She nodded, already scrolling through her phone. I thought about Derek's message sitting in my pocket like a grenade with the pin halfway out. Instead, I asked if she wanted dessert. We didn't have any, but the question filled the space. She said no, kissed my cheek, and went upstairs to take a bath. I cleaned the dishes and listened to water run through old pipes. When I finally went up, she was already asleep, or pretending to be. I lay on my side of the bed and stared at the ceiling fan making its slow circles. Tomorrow night, Derek would come to my house. He'd stand on my porch. Shake my hand. Take my keys. Drive my car to wherever he planned to take my wife. And I'd follow every mile. Morning came with the alarm I didn't need because I'd been awake since 4. I showered, dressed in my usual work uniform, jeans and a shop shirt with my name stitched over the pocket, and went downstairs. Vanessa was already up, rare for her, standing at the counter in a robe with coffee steaming in her favorite mug. The one that says "but first coffee" in that font everyone uses now. "Morning," she said, brighter than usual. I grunted back, poured my own cup, and leaned against the counter. She asked about my day and I told her the usual. Brake job, alignment, some diagnostic work on a Chevy that's been nickel-and-diming its owner for months. She nodded along, but her eyes had that distant look, the one people get when they're hearing words but thinking about something else entirely. "What about you?" I asked. She brightened. "Oh, just meetings. Then maybe dinner with Claire after work. Girls' night type thing." Claire was her college roommate, lived 2 states over, and hadn't visited in a year. I sipped my coffee and tasted the lie. "Sounds nice," I said. She smiled. Kissed my cheek. "I'll probably be late, don't wait up." I watched her walk back upstairs, phone already in her hand, thumbs moving. I finished my coffee in the silence of a kitchen that suddenly felt like a stage set. Everything in its place. Nothing meaning what it used to. At the shop, I went through the motions. Changed oil. Rotated tires. Explained to Mrs. Chen that her son's Honda needed new struts and yes it's expensive but no you can't just ignore it. The crew knew something was off. Rodriguez asked if I was feeling alright. I told him I was fine and handed him a work order that didn't need handing. By noon, I'd checked the GPS app 4 times. The Audi was still parked outside. Hadn't moved. At 3, I told Rodriguez to close up. "Family thing," I said. He nodded and didn't ask questions. Good crews know when not to. I drove home in my truck, the old Ford that rattles above 50 and smells like 30 years of work boots and fast food bags. The Audi was in the driveway, washed and waxed, looking like it was ready for a date it didn't know it had. I parked on the street and went inside. The house was empty. Vanessa's car was gone. I checked my watch. 4:30. She'd be at the office for another hour, maybe 2. I had time. I went to the bedroom and opened her closet. Dresses hung in a rainbow I never paid attention to, shoes lined up like soldiers. I didn't know what I was looking for until I found it. A black dress, tag still on, shoved toward the back like it was waiting for the right occasion. I checked the price tag and felt my stomach drop. $300. We'd fought about money 2 months ago. I'd wanted to hire another mechanic. She'd said we needed to be smart with spending. I put the dress back and closed the door. Downstairs, I sat on the couch and opened the GPS app one more time. The car was exactly where I'd left it. I set the phone on the coffee table and waited. Derek showed up at 6:58. I watched him pull up in an Uber, check his hair in the reflection of our front window, and walk up the driveway like he owned it. The doorbell rang, cheerful and oblivious. I opened the door and there he was. Grinning. Hand already out for the shake. "Hey brother, appreciate this so much. My car's been a nightmare." I shook his hand and felt the gym membership in his grip, the kind of squeeze that's trying to communicate something. "No problem," I said. "Keys are here." I handed them over, and he palmed them like a man who expects things to go his way. "She's gonna love this," he said, and I realized he meant Vanessa. "The restaurant is incredible. You ever been to Marcello's?" I shook my head. "Not my kind of place. Too fancy." He laughed like I'd made a joke. "Fair enough. Well, I'll have it back tomorrow morning, spotless. Thanks again, man." He walked to the Audi, beeped it unlocked, and slid into the driver's seat like he'd done it 100 times. I stood in the doorway and watched him back out, wave once, and disappear down the street. The taillights blinked at the stop sign and then were gone. I went back inside, grabbed my phone, and opened the app. The blue dot was moving. Headed east on Maple, then south on 4th. I watched it for 30 seconds, then picked up my keys and headed for the truck. Following someone is easier in movies. In real life, traffic lights exist. So do pedestrians and delivery trucks and people who don't understand how a four-way stop works. I kept 2 cars back, sometimes 3, watching the blue dot on my phone propped against the dash. Derek drove my car like he was auditioning for a commercial. Smooth. Confident. Turned signals every time. We went through downtown, past the plaza with the fountain that never works, and turned onto Riverside where the restaurants start getting names instead of descriptions. Marcello's was tucked between a wine bar and a gallery selling paintings that look like accidents. Valet stand out front. White lights strung across the patio. The kind of place where bread costs extra. I watched Derek pull up, hand my keys to a kid in a vest, and walk inside. I parked across the street in a grocery store lot and killed the engine. The blue dot sat still on my screen. I should have felt something. Rage. Betrayal. The hot rush of adrenaline that makes men do stupid things they regret in courtrooms. Instead, I felt cold. The kind of cold that comes from knowing exactly what you're looking at and having no more questions left to ask. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. I waited. 10 minutes passed. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. Running late, might be closer to 9 before I'm home. Don't wait up. I stared at the message. Typed back. No worries, take your time. Added a heart emoji I didn't feel. She sent one back. I locked the phone and watched the restaurant entrance. Couples walked in holding hands. A group of women celebrating something loud. And then I saw her. Vanessa stepped out of an Uber wearing that black dress, the one with the tags still on it this morning. Her hair was done different. Curled. She had the heels she saves for important things, the red ones that make her 2 inches taller. She looked beautiful. She looked like someone else's wife. Derek met her at the door, and even from across the street I could see the smile. Bright. Easy. The kind of smile she used to give me when we first started dating and everything was still simple. He put his hand on her lower back, and they disappeared inside. I sat in the truck and breathed. In through the nose, out through the mouth, the way my old man taught me when I was a kid with a temper that got me in trouble. You feel it coming, you breathe it out, he'd say. Don't let the heat make you stupid. I breathed. The windows started to fog. I cracked one and let the March air in, cold enough to keep me sharp. Across the street, the restaurant glowed like a promise. I could walk in there right now. Make a scene. Flip tables. Demand answers in front of strangers who'd film it and make me a cautionary tale on the internet. Or I could sit here. Watch. Learn. I chose the second one. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my sister, Kelly. Random text asking if I wanted to grab lunch this weekend. I sent back a thumbs up and set the phone down. Normal life kept happening around the edges of this thing I was living through. That felt strange and also like the only thing keeping me tethered. I watched people come and go from Marcello's for an hour. Saw a proposal happen on the patio, the woman crying in a way that looked happy. Saw an older couple leave arguing about something that probably didn't matter but felt enormous in the moment. At 8:40, Derek and Vanessa came out. His hand was on her back again, familiar, possessive. They stood under the white lights and talked, faces close, and then he leaned in. I gripped the steering wheel hard enough to hurt. But he didn't kiss her. Not on the mouth. He kissed her cheek, lingering, the kind of kiss that's testing boundaries. She laughed. Touched his arm. They walked to the valet stand together, and the kid brought my Audi around. I watched Derek open the passenger door for her. Watched her slide in, smooth the dress over her knees. Watched him walk around, tip the valet, and get in. My car. My wife. His night. The Audi pulled out, and I let them get half a block before I followed. The GPS app showed them heading west, back toward downtown but not toward our house. I kept my distance. The truck's headlights are older, dimmer, easier to blend. We drove for 15 minutes, through neighborhoods that got quieter, streets that got wider. They turned into a complex I didn't recognize at first. Modern. Glass balconies. That fake waterfall feature developers love. Guest parking was around back. I pulled in 3 spaces down and watched. Derek parked, came around, opened Vanessa's door. She stepped out, and this time, when he leaned in, she didn't turn her cheek. They kissed. Long, slow. The kind of kiss that doesn't happen between coworkers borrowing cars. When they broke apart, she smiled and said something I couldn't hear. He laughed. They walked toward the building entrance, his arm around her waist, her head tilted onto his shoulder. The door closed behind them. I sat in the truck and felt the cold all the way through. No heat left. Just clarity. I pulled out my phone and opened the camera. Took a photo of the building entrance. Another of the apartment number directory by the door. A third of my car parked in the spot marked for Unit 212. Then I opened my texts and scrolled to Vanessa's name. Her last message still sat there with its little heart emoji. I typed. Hope you're having fun with Claire. Miss you. Send it. Put the phone face down on the seat. Started the truck. And drove home. The house was too quiet when I got back. I stood in the kitchen where we had coffee that morning, and it felt like a museum exhibit. Everything preserved exactly as it was, but the meaning gone. I didn't turn on lights. Just walked through in the dark, letting my eyes adjust. In the bedroom, I opened her closet again. The black dress was gone. Of course it was. I checked the tags on some of the other dresses. Most still had them. Purchased. Never worn around me. Saved for nights I wasn't part of. I closed the door and sat on the edge of the bed. My phone buzzed. Vanessa. Miss you too, babe. Claire says hi. Probably be another hour. I read it. Didn't respond. Set the phone on the nightstand and stared at the wall. I could burn it all down right now. Text back. I know where you are. I know what you're doing. Watch the marriage implode in real time, messy in public and final. Or I could wait. Build a case. Do this the smart way. The way that protects me when the lawyers start talking. I thought about my dad. He taught me cars because he said knowing how things work means you can fix them when they break. But he also taught me patience. Measure twice, cut once. Don't force a bolt that's cross-threaded. Back it out. Start over. Do it right. I pulled out my phone again and opened a new note. Started typing. Timeline. Evidence. Facts. March 14th. Derek borrows car. Marcello's. Apartment complex on Westland Drive, Unit 212. Photo timestamps. I added the screenshots from the GPS app. The texts. Everything cold and factual, the way it would need to be when this stopped being my pain and started being a legal case. When I finished, I felt steadier. Not better. Just steady. The kind of steady you need to walk a beam 3 stories up. Don't look down. Focus on the step. I heard a car pull into the driveway around 11. Vanessa's engine, the little hybrid purse she loves for the gas mileage. I was already in bed, lights off, breathing even. She came in quiet, heels in her hand. I heard her move through the house, water running in the bathroom, the closet door opening and closing. The bed shifted when she got in. She lay on her side, back to me, and within minutes her breathing slowed into sleep. Real or performed, I couldn't tell anymore. I stared at the dark ceiling and planned tomorrow. Morning came mechanical. Alarm. Shower. Coffee. Vanessa was up early again, unusual now 2 days running, moving through her routine with the efficiency of someone who's practiced. She kissed my cheek on her way out. Have a good day, babe. See you tonight. I watched her car back out and disappear. Then I pulled out my phone and made 3 calls. First was to Marcus Chen, a lawyer who'd helped me with the shop's LLC paperwork 3 years back. Good guy. Steady. Didn't ask questions he didn't need answers to yet. Marcus, I need a consult. Family law. You know anyone? He gave me a name. Patricia Holloway. Said she was sharp and didn't waste time. I called her office and got an appointment for Monday. The receptionist's voice was kind, professional, the sort that's heard 1,000 versions of my story. Second call was to my sister Kelly. I need a favor and I can't explain why yet. Can you come stay at the house Friday night? She paused long enough that I knew she heard what I wasn't saying. Yeah. I'll be there. What time? 7. I'll text you when. Thanks, Kel. The third call was the hardest. Tommy Ruiz ran a private investigation firm out of an office above a dry cleaner on 5th. We'd gone to high school together, played baseball, stayed in touch the way guys do with annual beers and traded memes. Tommy picked up on the second ring. Talk to me. I need surveillance work. Professional. Discreet. He didn't ask who or why. Friday work? Yeah. I'll text you details. He quoted a rate that was fair. I agreed. We hung up. I sat in my truck outside the shop and felt the morning sun trying to warm through the windshield. Everything was in motion now. No going back. I could still stop this. Walk into the house tonight and ask Vanessa to tell me the truth. Lay it out. Demand honesty. Give her a chance to explain, apologize, fight for us. But I already knew how that would go. She'd lie. Smooth it over. Make me feel crazy for asking. Gaslight is the word everyone uses now. My old man would have just called it lying to your face. I started the truck and headed to the shop. Work was a blur. I moved through jobs on autopilot, hands doing what they'd done 10,000 times while my brain ran scenarios. Rodriguez asked if I'd thought about his idea for expanding the tire service bay. I told him it sounded good and to write up numbers. He looked at me strange but didn't push. By lunch, Derek had returned my car. I got a text around noon. Just dropped the Audi off. Left keys under the mat. Thanks again, brother, you saved me. Car ran like a dream. I walked out to the lot. The Audi sat where I'd left it yesterday morning. I checked under the mat. Keys were there. I got in and looked around. Passenger seat adjusted back. Vanessa's height. A receipt on the floor. Marcelo's. $93. I took a photo of the receipt. Added it to my evidence file. The car smelled like her perfume, the one she wears on special occasions. I sat in the driver's seat and felt like a stranger in my own vehicle. My phone buzzed. Vanessa. Working late again tonight, sorry babe. Big project crunch. Don't wait up. I texted back. No problem. Love you. She sent back a heart. I pocketed the phone, locked the car, and went back inside. Rodriguez was under a Camry, swearing at something in Spanish that probably deserved it. I grabbed a creeper and rolled under the Ford we'd been putting off. Lost myself in someone else's problems for a while. Friday came faster than I wanted. I texted Kelly that afternoon. 7 tonight, like we said. She responded immediately. I'll be there. Do I need to bring anything? Just yourself. She sent a thumbs up. I closed the shop early again, told Rodriguez I had a family thing. He nodded, probably thought someone was sick. Wasn't entirely wrong. At home, I checked the GPS app. The Audi hadn't moved since I'd parked it Wednesday. I opened my laptop and signed into our joint bank account, something I rarely did because Vanessa handled the finances. She made more money, had the head for budgets and spreadsheets. I scrolled through recent charges. Marcelo's on the 14th. That was Derek's card, probably. But there were others. Nordstrom, $200, 2 weeks ago. Another restaurant I didn't recognize. A hotel charge from January that said conference, but we hadn't talked about any conference. I screenshot everything. Added it to the file that was starting to look like a case. Kelly arrived at 6:50 in her Jeep, the old one with the doors that don't quite seal and the radio stuck on the country station. She got out holding a casserole dish covered in foil. "Brought dinner," she said. "Figured you weren't eating." She was right. We went inside and she set the dish on the counter. Then she turned and looked at me with eyes that were her mother's. "You gonna tell me what's going on?" "Not yet. I need you here tonight because Vanessa thinks I'm working overnight at a fleet job in Riverside. Big commercial account. She thinks the shop is empty and I'm 2 hours away." Kelly processed that, and I watched her face shift from confused to understanding to angry. "She's stepping out." I nodded. Kelly's jaw tightened. "You sure?" "I'm sure. What do you need from me?" "Just be here. If she comes home and I'm not here, everything looks normal. You're visiting, hanging out, I'm at work. That's it." She crossed her arms. "And where will you actually be?" "Following up on something." Kelly stared at me long enough that I almost broke. Then she nodded. "Okay. But Paul, when this is done, you tell me everything." "Deal." We ate the casserole, some kind of chicken and rice thing that tasted better than anything I'd had in days. We didn't talk about Vanessa. Talked about Kelly's kids instead, normal stuff, school plays and soccer games. It felt good to remember the world was bigger than this. At 7:30, I got the text I'd been waiting for. "Vanessa. Hey babe, gonna grab drinks with some people from work. Probably late. Don't wait up." I showed Kelly. She read it and her face went hard. "What do you want me to say if she calls?" "Tell her I'm working. Phone's off because of the noise." "She'll buy that." Kelly nodded. "Be careful." I grabbed my keys and headed out. Tommy was already parked down the street in a gray sedan that looked like every other gray sedan in the world. Good surveillance cars are invisible. He saw me coming and rolled down his window. "She left her office 20 minutes ago," he said, handing me a photo on his phone. Vanessa getting into her car, time-stamped. Headed toward downtown. "I'm on her now." I nodded. "I'm following in the truck." "Staying back." He gave me a look. "You sure you want to see this?" "I'm already seeing it. May as well have proof." He understood. Gave me the address where she'd parked. Different place than Wednesday. This was a hotel. The Grandview, one of those boutique places with a rooftop bar and room service that costs more than my mortgage payment. I drove there, parked in the garage across the street, and texted Tommy. "I'm here." He sent back. "3rd floor. Room 314. She went up 10 minutes ago." Alone. I sat in the truck and waited. Checked the time. 8:05. My phone buzzed. Text from Vanessa. "Miss you. Wish you were here." I typed back. "Miss you too. Work's brutal but the money's good." She sent a sad face emoji. I pocketed the phone and watched the hotel entrance. At 8:20, I saw him. Derek. Polo shirt. Jeans that probably cost what I make in a day. He walked in like he owned the place, didn't even check in at the desk. Just went straight to the elevators. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Got him walking in. Got the timestamp. Got everything I needed. Tommy texted. "He just went up. You want me to get room shots?" "No. I believe you. This is enough." He sent back. "Sorry man." "Yeah." I watched the hotel for another hour. Couples came and went. A wedding party stumbled out, loud and happy. Life happening all around the thing breaking in my chest. At 9:30, I left. Drove home the long way, past the shop, past the high school where Vanessa and I met at a mutual friend's graduation party. I'd been 22. She'd been 20. We'd talked about music and movies and how we both wanted to travel but never did. Married 3 years later. Bought the house a year after that. I thought we were building something. Turns out I was the only one with blueprints. Kelly was on the couch watching some crime show when I got home. She muted it when I walked in. Well? I sat down heavy. It's what I thought. Worse, actually. Hotel this time. She swore, soft and creative. What now? Now I see a lawyer Monday. File. Do this right. You need anything? I shook my head. Just need this weekend to figure out how to keep breathing. She stayed until midnight, made sure I ate something, made sure I wasn't going to do anything stupid. When she left, she hugged me hard. You call me. Anytime. I mean it. I promised I would. Locked the door behind her. The house settled into its night sounds, creaks and hums I usually don't notice. I went upstairs, lay on the bed fully clothed, and stared at nothing. Vanessa came home at 1:15. I heard her car, heard her come in, heard the shower run. She slipped into bed smelling like hotel soap and lies. I didn't move. Didn't speak. Just lay there and counted ceiling tiles until the sun came up. Saturday I worked at the shop even though we were closed. Went in early, changed the oil in my truck, rotated the tires, detailed the interior. Busy work. The kind that keeps your hands moving so your brain can't catch up. Around noon, Vanessa called. Hey babe, where are you? Shop. Catching up on some personal stuff. She paused. On a Saturday? Fleet job ran late last night. Didn't get much sleep. Needed to stay busy. Oh. Well, I was thinking we could do something today. Maybe drive up to the lake? I thought about the lake. We'd gone there on our second date. Rented a canoe. I'd tipped us over trying to impress her. We'd laughed until our sides hurt. That was a decade ago. Different people. Can't today, I said. Buried here. Maybe tomorrow? Okay. She sounded disappointed. Real or performed, I couldn't tell anymore. Love you. Love you too. I hung up and went back to work. By evening, I'd reorganized the entire tool chest, inventoried parts, and scrubbed the bay floors until they almost looked new. Rodriguez would think I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. Sunday I drove to my parents' place. Small ranch house on the east side, the one I grew up in. Dad was in the garage, always in the garage, working on a Mustang he'd been restoring since I was in high school. Mom was in the kitchen making enough food to feed a platoon. They knew something was wrong the second I walked in. Parents have radar for that. We sat at the table, the same one where I'd done homework and eaten 1,000 meals, and I told them. Not everything. Just enough. Dad listened without interrupting, hands wrapped around a coffee mug. Mom cried quiet tears and held my hand. When I finished, Dad spoke. You seeing a lawyer? Monday. Good. Don't do anything stupid before then. I won't. He nodded. Your mother and I are here. Whatever you need. I know. Mom squeezed my hand. That girl never deserved you. I didn't argue. We ate pot roast and talked about easier things. Dad's Mustang. Mom's garden. Kelly's kids. By the time I left, I felt steadier. Not fixed. Just less alone. Monday morning, I sat in Patricia Holloway's office on the 8th floor of a building downtown. Glass walls. Leather chairs. Diplomas that meant she'd spent years learning how to untangle lives. She was 50-ish, sharp-eyed, dressed like she'd already won the case before it started. I laid out everything. The texts. The GPS logs. The photos. The hotel. The restaurant receipts. Tommy's surveillance notes. She listened without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, she sat back. "This is solid," she said. "Virginia's a fault state. Adultery matters here. You've documented well. What do you want?" "I want out. I want it clean. I want to protect what's mine. The shop. The house. My sanity." She nodded. "We can do that. It won't be pleasant, but we can do it." She walked me through the process. Filing. Service. Negotiations. Possible trial if Vanessa fought it. She quoted fees that made me wince but weren't unreasonable. I signed the retainer agreement. Shook her hand. Walked out feeling like I'd just jumped off something high and couldn't see the ground yet. That night, Vanessa asked how my day was. "Fine," I said. "Usual Monday stuff." She nodded, scrolling through her phone. I made spaghetti again because it's easy and I didn't have the energy for anything complicated. We ate in silence broken only by forks on plates. "You okay?" she asked. "You've been quiet lately." "Tired," I said. "Work's been busy." She accepted that. Went back to her phone. I watched her and wondered when I'd stopped recognizing the person across from me. After dinner, she went upstairs. I heard the bath running. I cleaned up, wiped counters that were already clean, and checked my phone. Patricia had sent an email. Documents ready for review. I'd need to approve them before filing. I opened the attachment. Petition for divorce. Grounds. Adultery. My name. Her name. The end of us reduced to legal language in numbered paragraphs. I approved it. Sent it back. Closed my laptop. And for the first time in 2 weeks, I slept through the night. The papers arrived at my shop on a Tuesday morning via courier. Plain manila envelope, my name typed across the front in a font that meant business. Patricia's paralegal had called ahead to let me know they were coming. Inside were the finalized divorce documents, ready for filing. I read through them twice in my office with the door closed, checking every detail against the evidence I'd compiled. Names. Dates. Grounds. The legal term for what Vanessa had done was alienation of affection, and it sounded so clinical, so removed from the actual feeling of watching your wife kiss someone else under streetlights while wearing a dress you'd never seen. I signed where the little yellow tabs indicated and put everything back in the envelope. Rodriguez knocked around 10. "Boss, you got a minute?" I tucked the envelope in my desk drawer and opened the door. "Yeah, what's up?" He had that look people get when they're about to ask something they're not sure they should. "Everything cool with you?" "You've been different lately." "I'm handling some personal stuff. Nothing that affects the shop." He nodded slowly. "All right. Just checking. You need anything, you let me know." "Thanks. I mean it." He left and I sat back down, stared at the drawer where the envelope waited. This was really happening. No more surveillance. No more gathering evidence. Just the slow machinery of law grinding forward, indifferent to how much it hurt. That evening I drove to Kelly's house instead of going home. She lived in a subdivision 20 minutes south, the kind with a pool nobody uses and an HOA that sends letters about lawn height. Her husband Greg answered the door, took one look at my face, and called for Kelly without asking questions. She came out, wiping her hands on a dish towel, and knew immediately. "You filed?" "Not yet. Tomorrow." She stepped onto the porch and closed the door behind her. "How you holding up?" "I'm standing. That's about all I got right now." She studied me the way sisters do, seeing past the words to the thing underneath. "You told her yet?" "No. Patricia said to wait until after service. Don't give her time to hide assets or prepare." "That's cold." "That's smart." Kelly crossed her arms. When does she get served? Friday. At her office. Public, professional, no way to avoid it. Good. She deserves to feel what you felt. I didn't disagree. We stood there in the early evening air, listening to her kids argue about something inside, normal domestic chaos that felt like a different universe. You can stay here, she offered. After. When it gets bad. I might take you up on that. She hugged me, fierce and quick. You're doing the right thing. I hope so. I drove home and Vanessa was already there, earlier than usual. She was in the kitchen making a salad, greens and vegetables laid out like a magazine spread. Hey, she said brightly. Thought I'd cook tonight. You're always doing it. I washed my hands at the sink, standing next to her, and it felt like acting in a play where I'd forgotten my lines. Smells good, I lied. It didn't smell like anything yet. How was your day? Good. Productive. Closed a deal we'd been chasing for months. That's great. She smiled and started chopping cucumbers. I watched her hands move, efficient and practiced, the same hands that had touched Derek's face last Friday night. The same hands that wore my ring. We ate at the table like civilized people. She talked about her work victory, the details blurring together into corporate language I'd stopped trying to understand years ago. I nodded at the right times and pushed lettuce around my plate. You're quiet again, she observed. Just tired. You keep saying that. Maybe you should see a doctor. Maybe. She reached across the table and touched my hand. I pulled away to grab my water glass, and the moment passed. After dinner I said I had paperwork to finish and went to the garage. Sat in my truck with the dome light on and stared at my phone. Tommy had sent his final invoice. Surveillance complete. Evidence delivered. I paid it through the shop account and sent him a text. Thanks for everything. He responded immediately. Anytime, brother. Hope you land on your feet. I locked the phone and sat in the dark of the garage, engine off, going nowhere. Wednesday I met Patricia for coffee at a place near her office. She brought a folder and slid it across the table. Process server is lined up for Friday at noon. Her office building, main lobby. He'll be professional but visible. I nodded. What do I do? Nothing. You go about your day. Don't text her. Don't call. When she reaches out, and she will, you refer her to me. Every time? Every single time. She sipped her coffee and watched me over the rim. This is going to get ugly. She'll be angry. Embarrassed. She might try to turn people against you. I've seen it 100 times. Let her. I've got the evidence. Evidence wins in court. Doesn't always win in the court of public opinion. I thought about Vanessa's social media, the carefully curated photos of us at restaurants and on vacations, the anniversary posts about how lucky she was. All performance. All lies. Let her have public opinion. I just want out. Patricia smiled slightly. That's the right attitude. Keep it. We finished our coffee and went over logistics. I'd moved some money into a separate account, enough to cover my bills for a few months. Document everything I owned before the marriage. Get copies of the shop's financial records. Prepare for her to claim she was entitled to half of everything. The meeting lasted an hour and when I left I felt like I'd just been briefed for a mission I didn't want but couldn't avoid. Thursday was the longest day I'd lived through in years. Every hour dragged like a transmission rebuilt with stripped bolts. I kept checking my phone even though nothing was happening yet. At lunch Rodriguez asked if I wanted to grab tacos from the truck that parks on 5th. I said no, then changed my mind and went anyway. We sat on the curb eating carne asada and not talking about anything important. The sun was warm. The tacos were good. For 20 minutes I felt almost normal. You ever think about selling the shop? Rodriguez asked out of nowhere. I looked at him. Where's that coming from? Just thinking. You've been here, what, 15 years? Since your old man passed. Yeah. Why? He shrugged. Just wondering if you ever want to do something else. I bit into my taco and thought about it. The shop was the last piece of my father I had left. His tools. His reputation. His customers who'd become mine. Selling felt like erasing him. No, I said. This is what I do. Cool. Just asking. We finished eating and went back to work. That night Vanessa came home with takeout from the Thai place we used to go to when we were dating. Thought we could have a nice dinner, she said. Just us. I looked at the bags, smelled the curry and basil, and felt the irony crush me. The night before her world ended, she wanted to play house. We ate on the couch watching some show neither of us cared about. She curled up next to me, head on my shoulder, and I sat there rigid as rebar. You okay? She asked. Yeah. Just sore. Long day. She kissed my cheek and went back to her show. I stared at the TV and counted down the hours. Friday morning I woke up before the alarm. Vanessa was still asleep, facing away from me, breathing steady. I got up quietly and showered, dressed, went downstairs. Made coffee strong enough to taste like a decision. My phone showed 6:15. 6.5 hours until the process server walked into her building. I thought about calling it off. Stopping this before it became irreversible. But then I remembered the hotel. The lies. The way she'd looked at Derek like I'd stopped existing. I drank my coffee and waited for her to come downstairs. She appeared at 7, already dressed for work, scrolling through her phone. Morning, she said without looking up. Morning. Big day? Just the usual. Meetings. She poured coffee into a travel mug and grabbed her bag. I'll probably be late tonight. Team happy hour thing. I nodded. Have fun. She kissed my cheek, a reflex more than affection, and left. I watched her car back out of the driveway and felt the countdown clock start ticking. At the shop I couldn't focus. Started 3 different jobs and abandoned them all. Rodriguez finally pulled me aside around 10. Boss, you're a mess. Go home. Take the day. I'm fine. You're not. And you're gonna hurt yourself for someone else working like this. Go. I didn't argue. Grabbed my keys and left. Drove nowhere in particular, just moved through streets I'd known my whole life, watching the city go about its Friday. At 11:30 I parked at a coffee shop with a view of downtown. Ordered something I didn't drink. Watched the clock on my phone. Noon came and went. 12:05. 12:10. At 12:14 my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. This is Paul. Mr. Grant, this is Daniel Cruz with Apex Legal Services. I've just served the documents to Vanessa Grant at her place of employment. She accepted service and I have her signature. Thank you. You should expect contact from her shortly. I understand. The call ended. I set the phone on the table and stared at it like it might explode. 3 minutes passed. Then it started. First call came at 12:18. I didn't answer. Second call at 12:19. Third at 12:20. Then texts started flooding in. What the hell is this? Paul, answer your phone. You can't be serious. This is insane. Call me right now. I watched them stack up, one after another, and didn't respond to any of them. At 12:30 she called from the office line. I answered. Paul, what is happening? I've been instructed to refer you to my attorney. Her voice went sharp. Your attorney? What are you talking about? Patricia Holloway. Her office number is in the documents. She can answer your questions. You're divorcing me? Her voice cracked on the last word, disbelief and anger fighting for space. I am. Why? You know why. There was silence, long enough that I thought she'd hung up. Then her voice came back smaller. We need to talk. We don't. Everything I need to say is in those papers. Paul, please. I'm at work. People saw this. I'm humiliated. You'll survive it. I hung up. The phone immediately started ringing again. I silenced it and put it face down on the table. My hands were shaking. Not from fear. From the adrenaline of finally saying the truth out loud. The calls and texts continued all afternoon. Vanessa. Derek, which surprised me. A number I didn't recognize that turned out to be her mother. I didn't answer any of them. At 3, Patricia called. She's been trying to reach me. Already hired someone. Fast work. Who'd she get? Richard Sutter. He's good, but he's not that good. What's he saying? That you're being unreasonable. That there's no grounds for this. That his client is willing to attend counseling. I laughed, sharp and bitter. She told him there's no affair? Apparently. Patricia's voice had a smile in it. Which is why I just emailed him the evidence file. All of it. Give him an hour to review and he'll be calling her with a reality check. Good. You doing okay? Honestly? I don't know. That's normal. First day is always hardest. Call me if you need anything. I will. I drove home mid-afternoon and found my house exactly as I'd left it. Part of me had expected it to be burned down or ransacked, some dramatic response to match the drama of the day. But it was just quiet. Empty. Waiting. I sat in the living room and let the silence fill up the space where my marriage used to be. Around 5 my phone rang again. Kelly. You okay? Yeah. It's done. How do you feel? Like I just jumped off a cliff and I'm waiting to see if the parachute opens. That's specific. I'm a specific guy. She laughed softly. You need company? Not tonight. I just need to sit with this for a while. Okay. But I'm coming by tomorrow. Bringing food. You're not gonna waste away on my watch. Deal. After we hung up I ordered pizza from the place down the street that knows my order by heart. Ate it standing at the kitchen counter, staring out the window at nothing. My phone buzzed intermittently with texts I didn't read. By 8 the sun had set and the house felt bigger than it should. I went upstairs and looked at the bed. Our bed. Couldn't make myself get in it. I grabbed a pillow and a blanket and slept on the couch instead. Saturday morning came with pounding on the front door. I jolted awake, disoriented, neck stiff from the couch. The pounding continued. I checked my phone. 8:30. 17 missed calls. 32 unread texts. I got up and looked through the peephole. Vanessa stood on the porch, arms crossed, looking like she hadn't slept. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. We need to talk. I've said everything I need to say. Paul, this is insane. You can't just throw away 10 years over nothing. Nothing? I kept my voice level. You've been sleeping with Derek for months. That's not nothing. She flinched. Where are you getting this from? I saw you. Multiple times. Hotels. Restaurants. His apartment. You borrowed my car so he could take you out. I watched the color drain from her face. You followed us? I protected myself. That's different. She stepped forward. This is crazy. You're being paranoid. I have photos, Vanessa. Video. Timestamps. Receipts. Your attorney has seen them by now. Ask him how paranoid I am. Her mouth opened and closed. For maybe the first time since I'd known her, she had nothing to say. You need to leave, I said. This is my house too. Not for long. And right now I'm asking you to go. We stood there in the doorway, 10 years collapsing between us. Her eyes filled with tears, the real kind or the performing kind, I couldn't tell anymore. I loved you, she said quietly. Past tense noted. Get a hotel. Send me an address where I can forward your mail. I closed the door before she could respond. Locked it. Walked back to the couch and sat down hard. Through the window I watched her stand on the porch for a long moment before finally walking to her car and driving away. Kelly showed up an hour later with groceries and a determined expression. Started cooking without asking, filling my kitchen with the smell of bacon and eggs. I sat at the table and watched her move around like she owned the place. She saw Vanessa leave, she said. It wasn't a question. Yeah. How'd it go? About how you'd expect. Kelly cracked eggs into a pan. She call you? 17 times. I showed her my phone. She whistled. Desperate. Or angry. Probably both. We ate breakfast and Kelly told me about her week, normal stuff about her kids and Greg's work and their neighbors who play music too loud. It felt good to hear about problems that weren't mine. After we cleaned up, she sat across from me at the table. So what now? Now I wait. For what? For her to accept this as real. For the lawyers to work out details. For my life to stop feeling like someone else's. She reached across and squeezed my hand. It's gonna get worse before it gets better. I know. But it will get better. You sure? Yeah. I'm sure. I wished I had her certainty. The rest of the weekend passed in a strange limbo. I worked at the shop even though it was closed, avoiding the house that still smelled like Vanessa's perfume. Changed oil in my truck that didn't need changing. Organized parts that were already organized. Kept my hands busy so my head couldn't catch up. Sunday evening Tommy called. Heard the news. You doing all right? I'm standing. That's something. Listen, if you need anything, I'm around. Thanks. I mean it. After we hung up I sat in my truck and watched the sun set through the bay door. The sky went orange then purple then black, and I felt like I was watching something end that I'd never get back. Monday morning Patricia called. We need to meet. Sutter's pushing back. On what? Everything. Grounds. Asset division. Timeline. Come by at 2 and we'll go over it. I spent the morning at the shop pretending to work, then drove downtown to her office. She had documents spread across her conference table like a battle plan. Sutter's claiming the affair is unsubstantiated, Patricia said. Even after seeing the evidence? He's arguing it's circumstantial. That being in a hotel doesn't prove adultery. She looked at me. Did you get any photos or video of them actually together? In the hotel? No. I saw them go in. Saw him go to her room. But I didn't follow them inside. She nodded. That's what he's banking on. Without explicit proof of sexual contact, he's going to argue they were just friends. That's bullshit. It is. But it's also how this works. We have strong circumstantial evidence. GPS data. Multiple occasions. The kiss outside the restaurant. It's enough to make a case but not enough to guarantee a slam dunk. So what do? We push forward. File a motion to compel discovery. Get her phone records. Email. Credit card statements. If this affair happened, there's a digital trail. We find it. How long will that take? Weeks. Maybe a month. I felt the timeline stretching out in front of me, this thing I wanted overextending into an indefinite future. We'll also depose Derek, she continued. Put him under oath. If he lies and we can prove it later, it's perjury. That matters. What about Vanessa? We'll depose her too. But first we need to nail down the financials. Any joint accounts need to be documented. Same with assets. The house is mine. I bought it before we got married. Good. We'll need the deed and mortgage records to prove that. The shop? Also mine. Inherited from my father. She made notes. Bring me documentation on both. And Paul, I need you to be prepared for this to get nasty. She's going to fight. I can handle nasty. I've been living in it. That week dragged like a stuck bolt that won't turn no matter how much leverage you apply. Vanessa texted every day, sometimes angry, sometimes pleading, always demanding a response I wouldn't give. Her mother called and left a voicemail about how disappointed she was in me, how I was throwing away a good woman over nothing. I deleted it halfway through. Derek stopped by the shop on Wednesday. I was under a Honda when Rodriguez came to get me. Boss, some guy here to see you. Says it's important. I rolled out and saw him standing in the bay doorway, hands in his pockets, trying to look casual and failing. I stood up and wiped my hands on a rag. You need to leave. We should talk, he said. Man to man. There's nothing to talk about. You're making a huge mistake. Your wife loves you. I stepped closer. My wife was sleeping with you. That's not love. It's not what you think. Then what is it? He hesitated, and in that hesitation I saw the truth. He didn't have a story that made sense. Couldn't spin this into something noble or justified. You need to leave, I repeated. And don't come back here. Rodriguez and 2 other guys had stopped working and were watching. Derek looked around, realized he didn't have an audience on his side, and left without another word. After he was gone, Rodriguez came over. Want me to ban him? Yeah. If he shows up again, call the cops. You got it, boss. I went back to work, but my hands were shaking. Not from fear. From the restraint it took not to drag him outside and settle this the old way. Thursday I brought Patricia the documents she'd requested. House deed. Mortgage records. My father's will showing the shop was left to me. Bank statements going back 3 years. She reviewed everything methodically, making notes, asking questions about specific transactions. This is good, she said finally. Clean paper trail. Nothing here suggests she has a claim to the house or the shop. What about savings? That's murkier. Any money earned during the marriage is marital property. We'll argue that your income from the shop is separate, but her attorney will push back. I thought about the joint account, the savings I'd been contributing to for 10 years. How much are we talking? Depends on how aggressively Sutter fights. Could be 50-50 split on everything earned during the marriage. That could be a significant amount. I nodded slowly. What if I can prove she was spending marital funds on the affair? That helps. Show me what you have. I pulled up my phone and showed her the screenshots. Hotel charges. Restaurant bills. The Nordstrom purchase that became the black dress. She studied them and smiled. This is good. Very good. We can argue dissipation of marital assets. If she was spending joint money on an affair, that counts against her in division. I felt a small spark of something like hope. So we have a case. We have a strong case. But I need you to understand it's still going to be expensive and exhausting. I'm ready. We'll file the motion for discovery next week. In the meantime, keep documenting everything. Any contact she makes. Any threats. Any attempts to access joint accounts. I will. And Paul? Stay strong. The hardest part is just starting. Friday evening I was closing up the shop when a car I didn't recognize pulled into the lot. A woman got out, 50-ish, well-dressed, carrying herself with the kind of authority that comes from years of getting what she wants. She walked straight to me. Paul Grant? That's me. I'm Susan Cole. Derek's mother. I didn't shake her hand. What can I do for you? You can stop this nonsense. Excuse me? This divorce. These accusations. You're ruining 2 lives over a misunderstanding. I set down the wrench I was holding. There's no misunderstanding. Your son and my wife have been having an affair. That's slander. It's documented fact. Your son has been served with a deposition notice. He'll be under oath soon. We'll see how much of a misunderstanding it is then. Her face tightened. Derek has a career. A reputation. You're trying to destroy him because you can't handle your own marital problems. Ma'am, with all due respect, your son made his choices. So did my wife. I'm just dealing with the consequences. She stepped closer, voice dropping. I could make things very difficult for you. Small business like this. Zoning complaints. Health inspections. Lots of ways things can go wrong. I looked at her for a long moment. Then I pulled out my phone. Say that again. She blinked. What? Threaten me again. On camera this time. So my attorney can file harassment charges. Her composure cracked just slightly. This isn't over. You're right. It's not. But you need to leave my property. Now. She left, and I immediately called Patricia and told her what happened. She sighed. They're getting desperate. That's good for us. Keep your phone recording if anyone approaches you again. Any threat, any intimidation, document it. This helps our case. It shows consciousness of guilt. If they're trying to scare you into backing down, it suggests they know we have them. I felt that spark of hope again, small but steady. The weekend was quiet in a way that felt ominous. No calls from Vanessa. No surprise visits. Just silence that felt like the pause before something breaks. I spent Saturday cleaning the house, erasing evidence of her. Cleared out her closet and packed everything into boxes. Found the black dress shoved in the back and held it for a moment, remembering watching her wear it. Then I folded it carefully and put it with the rest. Sunday I drove the boxes to a storage unit and paid for 3 months. Texted Vanessa the unit number and code. Your things are in storage. She responded immediately. You're really doing this? I didn't reply. Kelly called that evening. How you holding up? Day by day. Mom called me. Said Vanessa's mom called her. The grapevine is working overtime. What did you tell her? That you're doing what you need to do and anyone who has a problem with it can talk to me. Thanks, Kel. That's what sisters are for. We talked for an hour about nothing important, and it felt like medicine. Monday morning I got to the shop early and found a note taped to the door. Typed, no signature. You're making a mistake. Last chance to fix this before it's too late. I took a photo and sent it to Patricia. She called within 10 minutes. Police report. Now. It's just a note. Doesn't matter. This is escalation. We need documentation. I filed a report at the station downtown, gave them the note and told them about Susan Cole's visit. The officer took notes and said they'd increase patrols around the shop. It felt like overkill but also like taking the threat seriously. Back at the shop Rodriguez asked what was going on. Nothing I can't handle. You sure, boss? Because we got your back if you need it. I know. Thanks. Work became my anchor. The rhythm of diagnosis and repair, problems with clear solutions, outcomes I could control. A engine either runs or it doesn't. A brake either stops or it fails. Simple. Binary. Unlike every other part of my life. Wednesday Patricia called. Sutter filed a response. He's contesting everything. Grounds, asset division, timeline. Claims Vanessa denies the affair and wants reconciliation counseling. What do we do? We respond with our evidence file. Force him to address it. I've also scheduled depositions. Derek goes first next week. Then Vanessa. You need to be prepared. They're going to paint you as paranoid, controlling, possibly abusive. That's their play. Let them. The evidence speaks for itself. I wish I had your confidence. You hired me to have it for both of us. That's why I'm good at this. Stay focused. Don't engage with her or Derek or anyone connected to them. Let me handle the fighting. I can do that. The deposition notice for Derek came back signed. He'd appear the following Tuesday at Patricia's office. I marked it on my calendar and felt the gears of justice finally starting to turn. That weekend I stayed home and tried to figure out what normal looked like now. Grocery shopping alone. Cooking for one. Watching TV without someone else's commentary. It felt like learning to walk again after an injury. Sunday evening my phone rang. Vanessa's number. I almost didn't answer. Then decided I should. Hello. Her voice was small, careful. I wanted to apologize. For what specifically? For hurting you. For not being honest. I listened to the silence that followed. Is that it? Paul, I made mistakes. But we can fix this. Counseling, therapy, whatever you need. What I need is a divorce. We've been together 10 years. That has to count for something. It did. Past tense. More silence. Then her voice changed, harder. You're going to regret this. Maybe. But I doubt it. I hung up and blocked her number. Should have done it weeks ago. The relief was immediate. Tuesday morning I met Patricia at her office before Derek's deposition. She walked me through what would happen. He'd be under oath. His attorney would be present. We'd ask questions about his relationship with Vanessa, the timeline, specifics about hotels and restaurants. He could refuse to answer, but that looked bad. Most likely he'd try to minimize, claim they were just friends, nothing physical happened. And we prove he's lying how? Inconsistencies. Phone records were about to get through discovery. Credit card statements. His own words will trap him if he's not careful. I sat in the waiting room while the deposition happened in the conference room. 2 hours passed. Finally Patricia came out. How'd it go? He cracked. Admitted to the affair. Claimed it was Vanessa who pursued him. Tried to paint himself as the victim. I felt something hard and cold settle in my chest. And we have it all on record. Sworn testimony. Sutter looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. She showed me a transcript, pages of questions and answers. Derek admitting to meeting Vanessa at hotels. Admitting to using my car. Admitting they'd been involved for 6 months, not the few weeks he initially claimed. This changes everything, Patricia said. With his testimony, Vanessa can't claim there was no affair. She can try to minimize her role, but the facts are established. When do we depose her? Friday. I'll need you there for that one. I nodded. Wouldn't miss it. The days between Tuesday and Friday stretched and compressed at the same time. I worked. Ate. Slept poorly. Avoided phone calls from numbers I didn't recognize. Thursday night Kelly came by with dinner and moral support. Tomorrow's the big one, she said. Yeah. You ready? I don't know what ready looks like. She set plates on the table. Ready looks like showing up. Telling the truth. Letting the chips fall. I can do that. Then you're ready. We ate and talked about her kids, and for a little while I felt like a person instead of a plaintiff. Friday morning I put on the one suit I owned, bought for weddings and funerals, and drove to Patricia's office. Vanessa was already in the conference room with Sutter when I arrived. She looked smaller than I remembered. Makeup careful. Clothes conservative. Playing the part of the wronged wife. We didn't make eye contact. Patricia started with basic questions. Name. Address. Employment. Then she moved to the marriage. How long? Any children? No, we'd never gotten around to that. I'd wanted them. Vanessa had always said later. Now I understood why. Patricia asked about Derek. How they met. How the relationship developed. Vanessa's attorney objected frequently, but the questions kept coming. Did you have a romantic relationship with Derek Cole? She hesitated. We were close. That's not what I asked. Did you have a romantic relationship? Yes. Sexual relationship? Another pause. Yes. Using marital funds? I don't know what you mean. Hotel rooms. Dinners. Clothes purchased for meetings with him. Were those paid for with joint account money? Some of them. I felt Patricia's satisfaction from across the room. The deposition lasted 3 hours. By the end, Vanessa was in tears, makeup ruined, the careful composure shattered. She admitted to the affair. Admitted to lying. Claimed she'd made a mistake and wanted to reconcile. Patricia asked her final question. Do you dispute that your husband has grounds for divorce based on adultery? Vanessa looked at her attorney. He nodded slightly. No, she said quietly. No dispute. Patricia closed her folder. Thank you. That's all I have. Outside the building, I stood on the sidewalk and let the spring air fill my lungs. Patricia came out a few minutes later. That was brutal, she said. How do you feel? Like I just watched something die. You did. But now we can move forward. Settlement negotiations. Asset division. We have everything we need. How long? Couple months if they're reasonable. Longer if they fight. I don't think she has any fight left. People surprise you. Stay vigilant. I drove back to the shop and threw myself into work. Rebuilt a carburetor that didn't need rebuilding. Detailed my truck until it shined. Anything to keep moving. That evening Tommy called. Heard it went well today. News travels. Small town, even when it's a big city. He laughed. You doing okay? Getting there. Good. Listen, bunch of us are getting together Saturday. Beers and barbecue. You should come. I don't know. I know. Come anyway. I'll think about it. After we hung up, I realized I couldn't remember the last time I'd done something social that wasn't work-related. Maybe it was time to try. Saturday I went to Tommy's barbecue. Drove there 3 times, turned around twice, finally forced myself to park and walk up to the backyard where a dozen people stood around a grill talking and laughing. Tommy saw me and waved me over. Handed me a beer. Introduced me to people whose names I forgot immediately. But standing there in the evening air, smelling charcoal smoke and listening to normal conversation, something loosened in my chest. I stayed 2 hours. Talked about work and sports and nothing that mattered. When I left, Tommy walked me to my truck. Thanks for coming. Thanks for inviting me. He nodded toward the house. Life keeps going. Even when you don't think it will. I'm starting to see that. Good. Come back anytime. I drove home feeling lighter than I had in months. The settlement negotiations took 6 weeks. Back and forth over email and conference calls, Sutter fighting for every dollar while Patricia systematically dismantled each argument. The house stayed mine. The shop stayed mine. Savings got split but heavily in my favor given the dissipation of assets argument. Vanessa would keep her car and her retirement account. I'd keep mine. Clean. Simple. Fair. Patricia called me on a Thursday in late May. They've accepted our terms. It's over. Just like that? Just like that. You need to sign the final agreement and then it goes to the judge. How long until it's official? 30 days. Then you're a free man. I sat in my office at the shop and stared at the phone after we hung up. 10 years reduced to signatures and filing fees. I should have felt victorious. Mostly I felt tired. I signed the papers that Friday. Met Patricia one last time at her office, reviewed every page, put my name on the lines that ended my marriage. She shook my hand. You did good. Stayed calm. Let the process work. That's rare. I had good help. She smiled. What's next for you? I don't know. Figure out what life looks like now, I guess. That's the hardest part. But you'll get there. I paid her final invoice, thanked her again, and left. Outside the sun was bright and the city moved like it always did, indifferent to my small drama. The divorce became final on June 23rd. I got the notification by mail. Official seal. Judge's signature. Decree of dissolution. I read it once, filed it in a drawer, and went to work. Rodriguez noticed something different. You look lighter, boss. Yeah. Good lighter or bad lighter? Good, I think. He grinned. About time. Kelly called that evening. It's official. As of this afternoon. How do you feel? Honestly? Relieved. Good. You want to come over for dinner? Celebrate? Maybe tomorrow. Tonight I just want to sit. I get that. Call me if you change your mind. I sat on the back porch with a beer and watched the sunset. Thought about everything that had led here. The flash drive that started it all. No, wrong. Not a flash drive. A text message asking to borrow my car. The small choice to say yes and follow instead of confronting immediately. Maybe that decision saved me. Let me see clearly before emotion took over. The neighborhood quieted as darkness came. Somewhere a dog barked. Someone was grilling. Life continuing its ordinary rhythms. 2 months later I ran into Vanessa at the grocery store. She was in produce, I was grabbing milk. We saw each other at the same moment. Both froze. Then she walked over. Hi. Hi. You look good. Thanks. You too. Awkward silence stretched between us. How have you been? She asked. Good. Working. You? I moved. Got a new job in Richmond. Starting fresh. That's good. Yeah. Another pause. Paul, I'm sorry. For all of it. I really am. I nodded. I know. She shifted her basket to the other arm. I think about what I lost. What I threw away. Sometimes you have to lose something to understand what it was worth. She looked at me with something like sadness. Would you ever consider? No. The word came out gentle but final. We're done. I know. I just had to ask. I get it. But the answer's still no. She nodded. Took a breath. I hope you find someone who deserves you. I hope you find yourself. We said goodbye and went our separate ways down different aisles. Fall came and with it a kind of peace I hadn't expected. I hired another mechanic, young kid named Marcus with good hands and better attitude. Started closing the shop on Sundays. Took a weekend trip to the mountains with Kelly and her family. Remembered what it felt like to breathe without weight on my chest. One Saturday in October I was working on my truck, finally replacing that rattle I'd been ignoring, when a woman walked into the shop. Mid-30s, dark hair, carrying a thermos. She looked familiar but I couldn't place her. Help you? She smiled. You probably don't remember me. I'm Claire. I taught art at Jefferson High. You fixed my car last spring. I remembered then. Transmission issue. Right. What can I do for you? She held up the thermos. This is going to sound weird, but I own the coffee shop on 5th now. Opened it 3 months ago. I've been meaning to thank you for keeping my car running long enough to make it happen. That's great. Congratulations. Thanks. Anyway, I brought you coffee. Figured mechanics probably live on the stuff. I took the thermos. That's really kind. You didn't have to. I wanted to. She smiled again and I noticed it reached her eyes. Plus I wanted to invite you to our open mic night Thursday. Music, poetry, whatever. Just people sharing things. Not really my scene. That's what makes it interesting. No pressure though. She handed me a card with the shop's address. Hope to see you there. She left and I stood holding the thermos in the card, feeling something I'd forgotten existed. Possibility. Thursday I went to the open mic, told myself I'd stay for one set and leave. Stayed for 3 hours. Claire performed a poem about starting over that hit closer than I expected. Afterward I told her it was good. She asked if I'd come back next week. I said maybe. Came back the next week. And the week after that. By December we were having coffee once a week, talking about everything except my divorce or her previous relationship that had ended badly. Just two people learning to exist in the present. On New Year's Eve she asked if I wanted to come to her place for dinner. Nothing fancy. Just dinner. I said yes. We cooked together in her tiny kitchen, laughed at burnt garlic bread, toasted midnight with cheap champagne. When she kissed me it felt like permission to move forward. The shop thrived. Rodriguez became co-manager. Marcus brought in his brother who turned out to be gifted with electrical work. We expanded into the bay next door. My father would have been proud. Sometimes I'd think about Vanessa. Wonder if she was okay. Hope she'd found whatever she was looking for. But mostly I didn't think about her at all. That chapter closed. New ones were being written. Spring came again and with it the anniversary of the day I'd said yes to lending my car. A year since everything changed. I was different now. Lighter. Stronger. More careful but also more open. Kelly said I smiled more. Claire said I was learning to be present. I thought maybe they were both right. The black flash drive that started someone else's story wasn't mine. My story started with a simple choice. To look. To document. To act. And in the end, to move forward. I kept the text message though. Saved in a folder labeled evidence I'd never need again. Not as a reminder of betrayal. As proof that sometimes the worst moments lead to the best changes. That hitting bottom gives you a foundation to build on. That the end of something painful makes room for something real. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.